Live with Dragon. Did I say one video this week? I meant 2 videos this week. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get 2 videos. And the reason why is because I had 2 great conversations with clients this week. And those conversations should be shared to the community, right? I'm going to try to attack things from an angle where people may not know some of these details or modalities of training and also recovery. And even though some of them, in my brain might be something that someone's not interested in, I'm going to just communicate as much as humanly possible, because I feel like if these things or topics are presented to the community and people get any, benefit from them, it's worth saying, right? And I'm going to try to do it in a short amount of time so that way you can absorb the data, take it into your life, and then implement it. So I'm going to keep things pretty straightforward, and I'm going to use my training knowledge and compare and contrast it to the herniated disc recovery space, okay? So the conversation that I had with the client was around basically progressive overload, or that is the meathead training side, the hypertrophy sphere. But really what that means for people who are recovering from disc injury, lower back injury, could also just be any injury in general, is that your program at phase 1 should look a lot different than the other phases throughout the journey of your recovery. And progressive overload is simply, at its face value, is just saying scale up the difficulty of that training over time so that your body gets a new stimulus and is able to get better range of motion, is able to withstand more weight or more resistance, makes you stronger. If we kind of factor that into the bodybuilding sphere, right? If I want a bigger bicep, I'm not just going to go into the gym and do 3 sets of bicep initially. That's fine initially, okay? So I'm new to the gym. I'm like, man, I want to get some pipes. Ugh. How do I get these pipes? I see guys doing curls. Okay, well, that's phase 1. So let's go in there and do some curls. Now, that 3 sets of curls, maybe for 10 reps, is going to get you so far for maybe the first couple months. And then what you're going to notice is maybe some growth. Awesome, fantastic. Maybe you don't see any growth, okay? And we're like, what? Kind of racking your head, like, why am I doing the curls? That guy's huge and jacked. I see him doing curls. Why is the muscle not growing? And in the training or the recovery sphere, I see that guy doing cat-cow. He looks like he's not in pain. Why? I'm doing this every day. Why am I not getting out of pain? There are limitations within the first phase. So let's boil it down to what this could mean for you in terms of your training or your recovery. If you are in an acute inflammatory phase where, let's say, the pain level is from 1 to 10, 10 being extremely hard, like just extremely painful, everything is a task, a chore, you can't get comfortable, you can't sit down, walking is horrible, you can't even think about picking anything up. That is a really difficult phase for most people. But the common literature that we have on the subject space is the worst thing you could possibly do is do nothing, right? You can't just lay in bed all day. You might be able to get away with that for the first day, second day, but afterwards you need to establish movement. Your body craves movement, okay? So if I was writing a phase 1 level program, it's to restore movement in that client. And that movement might look like only 3 or 4 exercises that person does either once, twice, 3 times per day, depending on what their capacity is. And then what is the byproduct of being able to do those exercises, right? Does their pain level go down? Did they start day 1 with only being able to do 1 set of something, but as they got progressed throughout the rest of the week, they started noticing they could do 2 sets of something? Maybe it was 5 reps, now it's 6 reps. Long as there is a curve upwards, and as that curve upwards goes up in their volume, theoretically, hopefully, their pain level should go down. And same thing for the bicep. If I have somebody who has a lacking body part and it's biceps, and we're doing 20 pounds, right, curls, 10 reps, 3 sets. We did this successfully for 2 to 3 weeks. muscle takes time. I think that the recovery spear also takes time, obviously. So patience is definitely a virtue in this situation. But after the 3-month mark, whatever the case may be, a couple weeks, whatever, they notice that the growth stalls. The growth stalls, and they're like, I'm doing my curls. You know, what the hell? I want these 22-inch arms. I want the Ronnie Coleman's. Where do you scale up? Is it repetitions? Is it sets? Is it the weight? The answer is all three. Is it, and you can even add a fourth, form, right? How good are you connecting mindfully to the bicep or the muscle in question? Ultimately, as it applies to your training sphere, is we want to leave that acute inflammatory phase to be able to progress into training, right? Into developing strength and not just mobility and flexibility, so that your body becomes more resistant to the outside and external stimuluses that you put on it every single day. So that is the situation at face value, okay? Obviously, there's a lot of auto-regulation that needs to go into that sphere. That's why obviously working with a coach can be beneficial, so you can bounce ideas off that person. But I think if I wanted to put a bow on this, I would say somebody, let's say, where am I kind of seeing some of this feedback is we can get people out of the acute phase because they're doing the flexibility, the mobility. Okay, they're starting to get pain-free. Good. That's very good. So pain levels dropping. They notice mobility is a little bit better. Maybe they can hinge at the hip more successfully. They're going down more, or they can, have more extension on the back end. But they're still very weary of certain movements that they're scared of, okay? So phase 2 is we have to get these movements going because they're inevitably going to be doing some of these things in their daily life. So first step would be obviously do those movements with that person's body weight. And that also takes them so far. Okay, good. Now I'm building comfort. I'm building hopefully some strength in some vulnerable positions that I've never been strong in before. Phase 2, okay? And then for phase 3, that's when we scale up. That's when we start using some weight, hopefully, to support what our goals are. And it comes to mobility and flexibility. Sometimes weight is really good because it allows us to get deeper into these new ranges of motion that passively we wouldn't be able to get into anyway. So the main concept that I want to, unveil to everybody, and maybe that's due to you, is that what has worked for you will only work for you for so long. You need to change the stimulus, okay? And from changing that stimulus is a new, both physical and mental hurdle that you need to overcome, right? I don't know about you guys, but when I started doing anything hinged based where my butt's going back and I'm picking something off the floor, man, holy shit, was I nervous. And I needed to overcome that mental barrier, just like I needed to come over that physical barrier, because my body is still very tight and not wanting me to go to those new ranges of motion. It's trying to protect myself, okay? It doesn't want to go back into where you were when you started at level 1. But unfortunately, you have to overcome that phase so that way your body gets used to that new stimulus. And from that new stimulus comes pain reduction, which is inevitably what we're all looking for. I think if I was to speak to initially like some of my back clients who have now transitioned into more physique-based clients, which is, great for them. I'm so happy that they're in that position now, is you start in a position where I just want to be pain-free. And when we get to that level where we're generally pain-free, now we're like, okay, how can we get even better? How can we be bulletproof, right? That's when the strength training comes into play. And if you can include strength training movements, just like you included that mobility stuff initially, but you're pushing yourself, you're making these individual exercises difficult within reason, right? We're not trying to cause a flare. We're not trying to go past our current limitations, but we're trying to kiss where that threshold is. And what you're going to notice over time is your threshold is going to go up. As your threshold goes up, your pain levels will go down. So that is the full video in its entirety. If you guys have questions, comments, or concerns, as always, I will answer all your questions. There's also another video called Ask the Dragon Anything, which is the video before this one. If you wanted to ask me some questions on there, that one's more free, more open. Whatever you want to ask, I will answer. I got some good questions on that one, and I look forward to answering more. So thank you for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, Dragon is aus.